My first day.
Hello, welcome. May I have this one? Yes, you may. Hello. You're just in time. We're just getting started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fresno City Toastmasters after our 2-week vacation. Special welcome to our guest, Gravir. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
My name is Chanel, and I'm our current club president for only like 3 more weeks, actually, and then we're going to be starting a new term.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that in a minute. I am going to read the Toastmasters mission statement just to start us out. This is the mission for Toastmasters International and explains the purpose of why we meet together as a club. So our purpose is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication skills and leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence and personal growth.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, we are heading into a new year for Toastmasters. So July 1 is the new year. Toastmasters goes July 1st to June 30th. And we will be having to reset our board and redo board elections soon. I know that we're going to discuss that at our board meeting this coming Monday, and we'll have more information then, but I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that that is coming. And myself, part of the Toastmasters rules is that you can't be president 2 consecutive years. So somebody else is going to be stepping up into that role if anybody is interested who is currently on our board, and then if anybody who's not on the board is interested in joining, we do still have a couple of spots open. So just putting that in your guys' ear to orientate for what's coming up, and we'll have more information to follow after we have our meeting. A couple of housekeeping things for those who are joining us on Zoom. We do ask that you keep yourself muted when you're not talking, just to avoid feedback into the mic or anything like that. And then, of course, if you're called upon, please unmute yourself so that we can talk and hear you. As always, thanks to Michael Wu, who allows us to meet in person at his facility. We're grateful for that. Another quick housekeeping thing is I believe that the Toastmasters website is finished with all of its updates and is back online and working. So if you are wanting to get into your pathways to give a speech, now we can do that. You guys can start signing up for speeches again. For those who might be new members or just joining, we can get you set up into a pathway so that you can go ahead and get started on giving speeches. I was scheduled to give a speech today, but I looked at it last week and had to postpone it because it is the final speech in my pathway, which is exciting. And it has to be 18 to 22 minutes long. And so I realized, I think I need a little bit longer than just a week to plan for this, since it's like 20 minutes instead of 5. So I'm going to try to be getting that in within the next few weeks before the end of June so that I can get those points for our club. All right, and then before we move on to the start of the meeting officially, let's make sure that we have agenda rules covered for today. I know that we didn't get a lot down at our last meeting because there wasn't a lot of people here. So we're gonna have to fill in some stuff right now. Heather, you're still good with being Toastmaster?
Yeah, and if you wanted, I can do Toastmaster and General Evaluator, if you just kind of mesh the 2 together, if you want to do that. But I'm happy to be Toastmaster today.
Perfect. Well, let's see. Does anybody else want to step up and be General Evaluator? I know, Denny, you're not down for anything yet.
Yeah, put me wherever you want.
You want to do General Evaluator? Sure. Okay. Thank you. Topics. We don't have any speeches, correct? I didn't miss anybody. Okay. All right, and then for the evaluation team, Grammarian, counter, and timer. Could I have somebody please volunteer?
I can use grammarian.
You can look up something.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
doing it right now.
I can try and catch the ahs and ums and buts.
Yeah, Kalani, do you want to jump on something?
Sure, go ahead and sign me up for timer.
Okay. And we do have Emerson here in person also. Emerson, did you want to take on all counter?
Sure.
Okay. Give me just a second and I'll move that camera so that they can see you.
Okay.
I had it pointed at Denny.
What about the trade?
No, I'll just move it so it'll catch
Let's
us.
see if I can do it.
All right, perfect. So Heather's Toastmaster. We've got Denny as general evaluator and grammarian. Emerson's going to be all counter. Kalani's going to be timer. And I'm going to do table topics. So with that, I will pass the podium virtually over to our Toastmaster today, Heather Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. So as a Toastmaster today, it is my job to just set the tone for the meeting. And the theme for today is lessons I learned the hard way. And boy, oh boy, have I recently learned things the hard way. For me personally, as a believer in my faith, I have really been pushing for a direction that I thought that I needed to go in. I was so convinced that this is where I need to be. And I learned the hard way and the embarrassing way that you can't count your chickens before they hatch, and to not let people know that you might be going off into a different direction until that's confirmed. And if there's anything I've learned, it's that you can and will probably repeatedly bang your head on the door that you think is going to open, but I promise you, just because you bang on it doesn't mean it's going to. Now, there may be a lesson that you learn the hard way that it might open. So just be very careful on the doors that you do decide to try and open. Like I said, I've learned a lesson the hard way of trying to force my way in this direction when I had to realize I needed to take a step back, reevaluate, reflect, pray about it. And now I feel like I am back on track. And not that it's going to be any easier. It's still a hard decision and a hard path, but I am excited. And I think that because I went this direction, I don't always, encourage people to learn the hard way, but sometimes that's just how we have to learn, right? So I challenge you to just live your life in the sense of don't be afraid to go for it and to try new things, but also realize that sometimes that might be a hard life lesson, and that's just a part of life though, and we got to learn from it and move forward. So from here, I would like to pass this back to our general evaluator for the day is actually going to be Miss Denny Mason.
Emerson.
Good morning, everyone. I'm your general evaluator today, so I'm going to keep tabs on what's going on. We have an evaluation team, and that's a basic part of the Toastmasters experience. First, I'm going to introduce, actually, I don't even have to, it's me. I'm the grammarian today. So I'm going to introduce our word of the day, which is vocation. And vocation is the area of expertise of work that you decide to go into or work in. So my vocation is photography. I'm a photographer. And so we're going to use that word as much as possible today in your speaking, and I'll keep tabs and give you a report at the end. And I'd like to introduce Emerson, who is our all counter today.
Hello, Toastmasters. My role as the all counter will be to know any overused words or filler sounds like or you knows, used as crutches when people are nervous when speaking during the meeting. My job will be to note these so I can point them out at the end, and then we can all improve on them. I know I'm guilty of them myself, so this role helps me. So that will be my role.
Thank you, Emerson. And Kalani is going to be our timer today. Kalani.
Absolutely. Thank you, Denny. It's nice to see everyone. I know it's been a while, but I'm back and I'm eager to get started. Today, I'm going to be the timer. I have these nifty books here that I'm going to be placing in the screen of my camera. We'll be using, obviously, yellow for yellow. We're going to be using our blue instead of green. I need to go buy a green book for as many times as I've done this now. I will be on the search the next time I'm at Barnes & Noble, rest assured. And obviously a red book today for our red screen that we usually present. For our table topics, we have 1 to 2 minutes, and you'll see the books being placed on my screen to indicate where the time is. And that is my report. I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, Denny.
Thanks, Kalani. I even like the titles of those books. Great. And I'm going to pass this over to our Zoom master, Chanel West.
Thank you. So usually right here, it would go back to Heather as the Toastmaster. We don't have any speeches today, so we are just going to go right into table topics. So Gurveer, for you as the guest, our table topics is the time of Toastmasters where we practice our extemporaneous or unplanned speaking. I'm going to pose a couple of questions for everybody, and then everybody will be called up one by one to give an answer. And the time range for table topics is your response is supposed to be in between 1 and 2 minutes. So Kalani is the timer with the books. She'll be showing the green book or the blue book at 1 minute, which means you've met the minimum requirement. She'll be showing the yellow book at 1.5 minutes, which means that you are halfway through. And she'll be showing the red book at 2 minutes, which means that you're capped out and it's time to speaking if you haven't already. For our table topics today, I'll introduce the questions, which have to do with today's theme, which is lessons I learned the hard way. I know that for most of us, we don't always love to talk about lessons that we learned the hard way because it requires vulnerability and humility to talk about perhaps mistakes that we've made or times that we haven't always acted in the wisest or the smartest way. My questions today, though, are going to delve a little bit into that territory of vulnerability. So I encourage all of us, if there is something that we have learned that we perhaps doesn't show us in the best light, but that others could learn from, let's share it, because our mistakes are of no value unless we use them to help other people, right? Now, obviously, this is a public speaking club, we're not each other's therapists, so we don't need to go too hard in the paint there, but within reason. So the two questions for today, one is obviously, what is a lesson that you have learned the hard way? What is something that you've gone through that you wish you hadn't, but you came out the other side and were better for it? And then secondly, if you want to answer this, what is a lesson that you didn't have to learn the hard way because somebody else learned it for you? So in other words, how did somebody else go through something that was difficult and you observed that and you watched them, and because of their experience, you didn't have to make the same mistake? So I will wait a few seconds if somebody would like to volunteer to go first in answering either one of those questions. If nobody's volunteering, then I will choose somebody to come up and start us off.
I'll be happy to volunteer.
Oh, here we go. Wisdom comes with age, right?
I don't know. I took a long path to end up where I wanted to be, which was a professional photographer. And it was a trade-off between steady job or self-employment. And I know some of you out there have gone through that struggle as well and making a decision about that. For me, I really held on to that paycheck. That was important, and it was stability. And I just wasn't willing to take that first step off the cliff for a long time until somebody made me really mad. I had been waiting and waiting and waiting, almost kind of waiting for somebody else. But when that somebody else they acted in a way that I didn't follow too well. It made me mad, and I said, that's it. That's it. I'm gonna stop waiting. I'm gonna just go ahead and do it. And as soon as I shut that door, waiting for someone else, I stepped off and everything just fell into place. Admittedly, I did not quit my job, didn't do that. But I did take the first step that connected me to another professional photographer and got me started, which was in reality fear. It was fear that kept me from taking that first step. What I learned is if I just take the first step, everything else falls into place. My only regret on that was how long it took me to come to that conclusion. But that's the way it goes, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Denny. All right, who is ready to go next?
I'll go next.
Emerson, all right, do it. The in-person people are showing you guys up today.
Fellow Toastmasters, it's sort of a coincidence that in my Bible study this morning, I was learning about the prodigal son, and the son who leaves his father's home, having asked for his inheritance early before his father's death because he wanted to live his life as he thought right. And then he spoils all his fortune and ends up taking care of pigs, begging for mercy, and the father welcomes him with open arms. I was the product of two hippies in the 70s. My parents were young lovers, and I was the product of that love. My mom is 16 years older than me, so she was a young woman when she had me. So my grandmother raised me, and my grandmother always gave me good advice. And as much as I should have cherished that advice on everything from how to balance my checkbook to putting God first, I wouldn't listen. I would not listen. And it took me the long route of life to come around and realize that the jewels that would come out of my grandmother's mouth were to be cherished. My grandmother left to be with God in 2007. But now I wish I can go back in the DeLorean and go back in time and just go back and shake my grandmother's hand and say, "Grandmother, you were so right." But I would not have learned the lessons unless I learned the hard way. So like my grandmother said, boy, you're going to learn it one way or another. Either you're going to listen to me or life is going to teach you. Well, I went with option B. And so be it. As long as you get to that point, that's the successful way. So thank you, Toastmasters.
Good. Thank you, Emerson, for sharing. I think we all have some of those moments as we're growing into adulthood, like, actually, they were right. Okay, we have Heather and Kalani. You want me to do eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or one of you like to volunteer?
Go ahead.
I think we unmuted at the same time, Heather.
We did.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Because
Oh, thank you, both of you. So I've been trying to think of some hard life lessons, which I know I've had quite a few, especially recently, as I said. However, I would like to kind of flip it around and also learn or talk about the life lessons that I learned from other people. And that would be what came to mind first and foremost was the fact that I realized through my mom, my sister, and my brother that I did not want kids at a very young age. I didn't want kids for a while. And I learned that very hard lesson because my mom, not that she was young when she had children, but she had to go through school, nursing school with 3 kids. And so that was always a really big life lesson for me, to not settle and to keep moving forward. And even if there are some things that you have to carry with you, still to move forward. And that was a huge life lesson for me. My mom is one of the most resilient and hardworking people I know. And then again, with the just realizing that as much as I love, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. As much as I love kids, I love to give them back even more. And I learned that through my sister having our niece Izzy at 18 and my brother with my little niece Lily at 20. And I just, yeah, it's something that I'm grateful for, that in the weird sense, because I didn't have to go through it, even though I did, but I didn't. I saw how it affected their daily life. And I am wanting to end this on a positive note, in the sense of I am very excited that my firstborn niece, who is going to be turning 14 this July, is actually staying with my husband and I for a month and a half. And so I am very thankful for that lesson that my sister had to go through, because without it, I wouldn't have the beautiful niece that I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. All right, Kalani. You're up.
All right. Thank you. I was having a hard time really choosing which question I wanted to answer and which route I wanted to go down, because I mean, you could throw a softball at all the hard things that I've gone through just this year alone. I'm sure we all could, but I'm really passionate about what I'm doing right now in my vocation. So I'm going to go ahead and touch base on that a little bit. I know I mentioned before how I'm actually tailoring my social media to follow my journey in becoming an entrepreneur, but more so because I'm facing things, unfortunately, that people don't look like me in the route that I'm going towards. And I want to make sure that I'm able to kind of pave that way and shed light on, unfortunately, the hard lessons that I'm learning, so that the next person, the next mixed Black girl entering a room full of very well off, older, who tend to be Caucasian men in their 50s and 60s, are able to kind of get a head start in a way that I don't have, or the way that I'm trying to pay for them. And I am loving every second of it. And I am falling on my face more times than I'd like to admit. And it's even worse when I'm doing it with the camera. But it's one of those moments where I throw it out into the universe. I don't think anyone's paying attention to it. And maybe one day I'm able to go back and look and say, hey, no, this is what I did. I went through this. You got this, boo. Keep pushing. And I'm getting a few people who actually do know me to respond to them and say that I'm inspiring them. That means a lot. So that's what I'm kind of doing, is showcasing my hard times so that I can influence the next generation to be able to take those steps faster.
Very good, Kalani. I just want to say, you go, girl. You're doing awesome. One thing that I find interesting about the vocational makeup of our Toastmasters Club is how many people we do have who are self-employed. And so, I mean, I am technically, Emerson is, Cindy is, you are, Joey is, Farron, who was in our club for a long time, was self-employed. I don't know if it's a coincidence. Then we have Heather and Sarah, who work for nonprofits. So it's an interesting demographic there. So Gerbir, and tell me if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly.
Yeah, you're correct.
Gerbir,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
If you would like to go and answer one of the questions and do a table topic, you're totally welcome, but also no pressure if you don't want to.
So the first question is, what is the lesson that you have learned? Is that correct?
Yeah, what's a lesson you learned the hard way, or what's a lesson that you have learned from somebody else who had to go through something hard?
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to cover the both. Actually, I have being as a prominent individual in my society, in my community. I have been, so basically I'm as a professional, I'm a priest, and I sing the hymns. So my journey started pretty much from like a childhood time, like nearly 15 years old. I started singing, and I turned to be famous in my community. So my personal life, being as a individual, the development of me and managing myself in the society and in the public was very innocent, very truthful, and very reliable, which resulted pretty much a lot of negative uh, impact on my life, kind of, because what happened was since some individual who has more people's involvement in your life, because you are kind of person in the central and the majority of era around you, people had access over my most of the information regarding me, my nature, my everything. And since when you practice your faith, which tells you to be honest, be very transparent, at the same time truthful, and I took things very literally to ensure that my God is watching me, and I'm not going to have a dual kind of my mental to present myself in the public that all right, I'm not going to tell them this, I'm not going to tell them this, but I'm going to act like a neutral. I couldn't handle that, because since I started being in the public from my young age, I literally had no clue how to actually present myself in the public. I was completely humble and innocent, innocent in sense of uh, trusting others. I would I would let them know what's going on, what I'm thinking, what kind of my clear personality is, instead of not portraying my personal life or private life's nature and behaviors. So my personality has been affected on most of the percentages. What I would say is trusting others more than needed, or I would say letting them and in my life, uh, being really, really so transparent to other people. Uh, so after years, like I would say 10 to 13 years of my this experience being in the public around the world, I I was told by my parents, my girlfriend, when I had her before, she would stop me, but I was so innocently transparent, and I could not actually uh, you know do the filtration in my personality to keep people away from me. But since I had a backlash over where people misuse the information of my personality, it was literally a serious, harmful, and a hardest lesson ever in my life, to to let people know your each and everything, or even sharing with them your happy and sorrow moments, or your good or bad experiences, even any information which was used very negatively, or was taken very like every amount of thing that was taken to my personality or my reputation. It was seriously affected. I was very affected with that, and now where I have come to the conclusion of my private life, and I have really disembarked myself from this journey of being in the public.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing so much. Okay, well, that is everybody for table topics today. So I'm going to pass the podium back over to our general evaluator, and she will lead us in our meeting evaluation. So please welcome Danny.
Today is going to be pretty simple. We're going to go through our, let's see, today Kalani used our word of the day. Did I miss anyone else?
I said vocational.
Okay, close
I
enough.
would like to advocate that.
Ding, you win. Okay, that's good. Very good. And our counter, Emerson, is going to tell us how we did.
Thank you, Denny. Well, I think we did very well today. I only caught a few. For myself, I know I did 2 uhs. Heather, I didn't hear any uhs or any fillers. Denny, I didn't hear any. Chanel, I didn't hear any. Gerbir, I heard 1 kinda and 3 uhs. And with Kalani, I just heard 1 kinda. So other than that, we did very well. Thank you.
Thank you. Gerbir, did we explain to you what counter? That's one of the fun things that we do at our club. Have you done that before?
No, this is first time and I feel really, really good being here.
Good. This evaluation is just for our practice and to get better. So one of the things that we do is the counter, and all of us have dread at the end to see how many words we said of filler words, but it's fun amongst friends. So
yeah, it's pretty good.
Good. Next, we have our timer, Kalani.
Thank you. I must say, timing yourself on this kind of topic was definitely a struggle, but we did it. Denny, you're at 1:56 today, and let me go ahead and remind that the goal was under 2 minutes, 1 to 2 with the books. Emerson, 1:55, great job. Heather, 2:06, I'm going to commend you. As soon as you saw that red book, you wrapped it up quickly. Great skill. I was at 2:01. If I stopped looking down, maybe I could have made it. But on to the next week. And then Gerbir.
Yes.
Fantastic. We're at 4:30, but again, we'll just work on that. And welcome to your first Toastmasters.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. And Gerbir, just so you know, all of us on our first table topics, we either talk for 10 seconds or 4 minutes. So you did great.
Thank
There's
you.
never an easy win.
How
And
many?
go ahead.
I mean, I was confused and I couldn't really lock myself in the timer. What is the timeline? Is it?
It's 2 minutes is ideal.
So the first book you heal for is for 1 minute, and then another one is 10 seconds before.
1 minute, 1.5, and then 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, now I got it.
If you get it right on the second time, you will have done better than any of us.
Yes.
We all struggle with that.
Yeah.
Today, I think our meeting went really well. We didn't have any speeches, but we always have fun anyway. And we're going to look forward to some speeches next week.
Yes.
So I'm going to turn this back over to our president.
Yeah. Thank you. So thanks to everybody today for jumping in and filling a role. We made the meeting happen with 6 people. That's awesome. I appreciate all of you and being willing to take on double roles and just jump in where needed. Thank you. So Gerbir, we do usually just invite our guests at the end of the meeting if there's any questions that you might have, and also if you wouldn't mind sharing firstly where you're from, where you live, and then how you found out about our Toastmasters Club, and what your interest in Toastmasters is. What is it that you're hoping to gain from the meetings?
Yeah, so I moved in US in 2018, being as a priest in the Sikh temple in Salma. And I got like started living with my partner 2 years ago, and she knew about Toastmaster because she lived in Maryland before. Now we live in Fresno. She told me, because I told her like I since I'm a public speaker in my community, I really had like urge to get perfect skills in being a public speaker, since English is my second language, and so is my passionate about having things as perfect as possible. So she told me that Toastmasters is one of the best thing that I can join the community, because then I saw the international congregation of Toastmaster and the program on YouTube, and I was like, wow. First of all, I was so impressed by this platform and the organization, and how impressive the outcomes that have been coming out and the people been achieving. And I looked myself in the future, seeing like if I start as soon as possible, I might be at somewhere that I could perform the best speech ever. And so I skipped by myself before. I'm from India, from North India, in Punjab, where you guys might have heard about Golden Temple. So I'm from that area, and I wanted to move to US because of a lot of reasons, and my destiny brought me here. And the main thing I wanted to come here was to have my life more, opportunistic, and I could like really gain a lot in sense of my future, my family wise, so I could give my kids something, a great platform to learn world class education, and we could perform for this nation, since unfortunately our community couldn't really place ourselves in India as equal as the other religion like Hindus, because we have some serious politics going on over there, and we have been affected by that, and our youth and the whole entire Punjabi community is going on through serious genocide from long time. So that's the reason that most of the Punjabis are moving here and other nations to get the better future. So we, as in hard worker people and very honest people, in a sense of working and living life, I and every one of us really appreciate being here and getting the opportunity to achieve that everyone else are achieving. Like,
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Like-
I had the opportunity a few years ago while I was in India to visit a Sikh temple in Delhi, actually, and
Yeah,
it's
nice.
one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been. It was
Oh,
absolutely gorgeous. The whole thing was like white stone.
yeah, I would add one more thing. What I want to improve is when I speak English. School time, I was very busy because of my talent of singing, and I could not recover, or I would say learn as much possible like other students did, because my school was so proud of me having me over there, because I was always busy practicing my music, and they were having me, and they're sending me on all the competitions, and we won the gold medals in the competitions, and I was lagged in my education. So I want to learn bridging up my speech learning up my speaking skills as much possible. Sometimes I skip things which I remember later. Then I bring that again, just like I did before. This is what exactly I want to change. That I want to make sure that I make a proper symmetry of it and present the best way possible. I'm sorry for the errors. Yeah.
No.
That's why we're here.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, my very first table topic personally was 17 seconds long because I was so terrified to even get up and speak. So you're totally good. I will let you know, we kind of our policy here at Toastmasters is we usually will allow guests to come to meetings 3 times for free. And then after that to make a decision if you want to join and be with us permanently or not. So you can come more times just to check it out and ask questions and fill things out. You're totally welcome.
Definitely.
If there's any questions that you have right now about the meeting or Toastmasters, you can let us know, or you can reach out to us
Yes.
via email.
Write an email if I need any particular.
Did you sign up online, or how did you find our club specifically?
Yeah, since she told me to find out a Toastmaster in Fresno, I've been getting your emails from the day I signed up, but only today's the lucky day I started. It was kind of like 7 to 8 months when I signed up. I would say it's been a while that I've been getting a reminder and Zoom calls that I should join, but I don't know. I couldn't really take any initiative about it.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So we have your email then, you have ours, you can reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That you're here. Anything else that I'm missing? Good.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right, we will move on to then real quickly filling out the agenda for next week. Firstly, I have speakers. Now that Pathways is back and open, I think let's try to get scheduled for some speeches, guys. I'm putting myself down for the 28th. I would like to have time to make my speech a good one, since it's kind of the big finale of my Pathway, so I don't want to rush it too much. So the next 2 weeks, the 14th or the 21st, would somebody like to sign up for a speech?
Yes.
Good. So then for Pathways.
Yeah, we gotta get that. So Gerber, if you want to sign up for a speech, we have to enroll you into the club, and then you'll get access to Pathways. So that Pathways is the online curriculum that we go through that has the training for our speeches and tells us what to work on. So I can have, if you're wanting to sign up, I can have our treasurer Joey reach out to you this week. And he's not on the meeting today, but he usually handles the enrollment.
Is it like this, like a Zoom class, right?
Yeah, so it's pretty reasonable. It's about $60 twice a year. So it's
Yeah.
$60 for 6 months.
Yeah, no problem. I can join that.
Okay, cool. So are you wanting to schedule a speech for maybe the 21st, 2 weeks out?
Yes, for the 21st.
Okay.
I'll do a speech for the 14th.
Okay, thank you, Heather. We out of time.
12:52.
Okay, good. Okay, and then who would like to volunteer to be Toastmaster next week?
You know what? Go ahead and sign me up for it. I should be here, but if not, I will let you know.
Okay, awesome.
And Joey will be back next week, right?
Joy should be back. Emerson, are you planning on being here?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, you want to have your pick?
I'll be all counter again.
All counter? You want to do table topics or something like that?
No, not yet.
No.
I'll do timer if you want me to. I'll do timer and all counter.
Okay.
I'll bring my own little cards, maybe green, red, yellow.
Oh, perfect.
Little stop sign.
Okay. I'll put myself in as general evaluator. Jenny, are you gonna be here?
Just put me in wherever next week. for the meeting.
Okay, I'll put you on table topics. Okay. All right, are there any other announcements or things that we needed to bring up specifically from my fellow board members that I'm not thinking of or that might be slipping my mind?
When's our next board meeting?
It's Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, so I did send out the calendar invite for that, and I'll try to get the agenda out within the next couple of days.
The numbers are always welcome to join us, right?
Yeah, I think so. If anyone else wanted to attend our board meetings and see what's going on or learn more, if you're interested in being on the board, you're welcome.
I'm sorry, Chanel, but you might have to resend that to me only because I don't see an invite for the meeting.
Okay,
Please and thank you.
yes, I will look at that this afternoon.
Good.
Okay. All right. Okay, very good, guys. I'm gonna adjourn the meeting then. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Non-Toastmaster related, do you know any writing groups in the area?
Writing groups,
Mhm.
of what nature?
Just general.
Just for people who like to write?
Kind of like a Toastmasters for writing.
Oh. I don't know of anything like that off the top of my head.
Does anyone in the room by chance?
That though? But are you're interested in like creative writing or technical writing?
Technical.
Technical writing, okay.
I think you've got a business idea there.
Hey.
I can only tackle a list one at a time, but I will add it to it. Oh man. Okay. Well, I guess I'll find one. But thank you.
Yeah, I'll let you know if I
Good to
hear
see
anything.
you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.